I am prepared to present to you the worst penalty shootout ever witnessed by the eyes of mankind or elfkind or dwarfkind or anything else that Tolkien can come up with, because this is the worst penalty shootout that you could possibly imagine. Now, I was presented with evidence of this penalty shootout through one particularly shocking miss, but upon putting on my Sherlock Holmes hat and breaking out my, Inspector Gadget tools, I found out that this deserved more than initially it was going to be given. Initially, it was just going to be a video about one man with suspiciously highlighted hair who happened to unleash a particularly bad penalty kick. And as we go through this penalty shootout, you'll become aware of who this one man is. But the entire penalty shootout itself is worthy of consideration. Now, it occurred in a massive tournament known the world over called Rio Delata Series 2026. And what the Rio Delata Series is a friendly tournament that occurs in Uruguay, right? It's a summer league system in South America predominantly. So the end of January, they're just kind of getting into preseason, getting your fitness up. And as part of this preseason, the Uruguayan clubs put on the Rio Delata Series, and clubs from Argentina, Chile, Paraguay, Colombia, and Peru have joined clubs from Uruguay. And, this big, fun tune-up tournament over 16 days. It's even on ESPN. There's obviously it's a big deal. And one of the teams that's come over from Chile is one of the big teams in the Chilean league, Colo Colo. And they're going to be taking on one of the biggest, most famous Uruguayan teams, Peñarol. Okay, and this match is occurring pretty late in the tournament overall. This match is on January 21st between Peñarol and Colo Colo. And even though it's occurring pretty late in the process of this tournament, it doesn't seem to be part of any knockouts or anything. I don't know if we're playing for a trophy, or maybe there's some sort of friendly league standing or something. I mean, it's all a friendly tournament anyways, so how much could it really matter? But there's not a ton on the line here, right? The rule is you play 90 minutes. If the scores are still level, then you're going to go to penalties. Now, what's particularly fun about this is that there was actually a pretty dramatic match played. Peñarol was losing after a first half goal from Colo Colo. They score in the 93rd minute. 93rd minute, before a couple of red cards to former wonder kid Matias Arezzo and Viagra on the other side send us into the penalty shootout with an edge, with a little extra paprika, with some elote seasoning on top, because now, this is a friendly tournament, yes, but we get dual-wielding red cards that have come flying down after the equalizing goal from Peñarol going into the penalty shootout. And it is once we go into this penalty shootout that we begin with the insanity. Now, I will do my best to avoid getting DMCA'd here. For whatever reason that I basically, if DMCA was a lightning storm, I'm standing on top of the church roof holding a giant metal rod towards the sky. I have been torpedoed by DMCAs the last couple of days. I had 2 different videos had to get edited, where like 10 seconds of game footage had to be edited out in order for the video to continue. So I realize here that I am once again standing up on the church roof holding a giant metal rod, hoping that I don't get struck by lightning, but instead am able to gather some sort of superpower so that I can join the Avengers from that amount of electricity. Here is the beginning of the shootout. This is our Peñarol goalkeeper, right? He's swaggering around. What a lad, right? He's making the face. The opening takers are Colo Colo. First penalty is normal. That is the last normal thing you are going to see in this entire penalty shootout. He tickles the twine, massages the side netting, and puts Colo Colo up 1-0 moments after that dual-wielding red card, just to get you in to the mentality of what's happening in this match. At which point, Peñarol is here. The penalty hits the post. I mean, not normal, right? You hate to miss a penalty, but it's not a bad miss. That was almost in. That's a pretty well-struck ball. And you're thinking, okay, we're off to a decent little start here. Colo Colo's got the lead in this penalty shootout. But what if I told you? Well, I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to spoil anything. We're just going to keep going. Colo Colo is now up. Shot, pretty not great penalty, pretty straightforward. It is saved. All of a sudden, Peñarol's goalkeeper is a hero because Colo Colo has fumbled their 1-goal advantage in this penalty shootout, only for Peñarol to step up and sky it. I mean, this is not even particularly close. I would like to assume that this guy that plays for Peñarol is way better than I am at kicking a ball. I can't imagine pumping the ball into this location, right? This is This is not one of like, if you understand different ways to hit a football, and I realize I'm American, so when I say football, it could mean multiple things in the first place, but normally when somebody misses a penalty, it's still rising. It's the Harry Kane template, right? You hit it, and you spin it off to the right so that it's got that rising spin that we'd normally try and get on a goal kick, for example. This is bending like Beckham. He's hit it this way. He's bent it over the crossbar. He's all hopped up on Mountain Dew. You know, somebody slipped some Adderall into this guy's Gatorade on the side of the field. Like, I have no idea how when you're hitting the ball that way, he's clearly demolished the ball. How you end up elevating it that much from the penalty spot. You just don't see that a lot. Anyways, we've got one penalty converted out of our first 4 attempts. Of course, we are still closing in on the grand, horrifying attempt that sent me down this rabbit hole in the first place. Third penalty taker is up for Colo Colo, and he promptly puts it in the exact same spot as the last guy that took a penalty for Colo Colo. Monkey see, monkey do. Another save for the goalkeeper for Peñarol, and now it is one made after we're 1 for 5 on penalties right now, lads. We got to do better than that, right? All of those, that penalty shootout in the Women's World Cup that everybody was making fun of, even they scored more than this. All right, you know, what are you doing here? Like, this is diabolically bad. And we continue on to Peñarol. Peñarol's next taker, saved. Just not a very good penalty, right? These saves are not particularly impressive. He sort of has to know what way you're going, and he's able to save this incredibly easy. We are now 1 for 6 in this penalty shootout. Uno for seis. Okay, Peñarol hasn't scored one yet. All right, now the Colo Colo keeper can totally take credit for it, but that's also the first time he's touched the ball, and it was the 3rd penalty that Peñarol has taken. No matter. Colo Colo has fumbled twice the opportunity to take control of this penalty shootout, at which point they don't score again. At least, finally, a Colo Colo taker goes the other direction. Right? They went to the keeper's left, barely, the last 2 times, and now he goes barely to the keeper's right. Somebody hit it down the middle. Somebody aimed for some side netting somewhere. These are just not very good penalties. They're lucky. That's what they are. They're lucky that this is a friendly. Because if this was in anything more important, they would never live this down. And granted, I am not the only person that has taken notice in how ridiculous this penalty shootout was, and so they're probably not going to live it fully down anyways. But this is the worst penalty shoot. Oh, we're not even close to done. Don't worry. It's the worst penalty shootout ever. Probably. Peñarol then steps up with yet again an opportunity to score for the first time in this shootout, which it does. Sends the keeper the wrong way. Pretty good elevation on that shot as well. We are now tied at 1-1 after both teams have had 4 attempts at the goal. I remind you, the average penalty conversion rate is north of 75%. It's nearly 80%. We are both 1 for 4 here. Somebody's going to have to figure out what to do. A nice penalty. Colo Colo scores, meaning Peñarol has to score in order to maintain this penalty shootout. What a little hop, skip, and a jump. This actually, I like these penalties. Freezes the keeper, gets it just past the outstretched arm of the goalkeeper. Peñarol now has to score, which normally you'd be like, they're probably going to score, but given they're 1 for 4 on the day is kind of terrifying. And then whatever that is happens. Now, I don't know what the Colo Colo goalkeeper is doing here. He has watched the Peñarol goalkeeper save this exact penalty twice. He waits for it down the middle, and that ball's pretty down the middle. You know, like maybe not the best goalkeeping, and very visually a very strange penalty to see. He just kind of stands there and waves his hand at it, like obviously he wasn't planting and guessing and going in a particular direction. But it's the Peñarol taker is a little lucky that he's been able to squeeze that one in. But no matter, we are now 2-2, going to the 6th penalty of the shootout, which is just not a good percentage. And now Colo Colo sends up this guy. I said his hair was frosted. It's actually pink. My memory doesn't serve me well because I was distracted by the kick that this guy took. Now, you probably remember from my 45-hour video I made about the AFCON final, Brahim Diaz's wonderful panenka attempt. It was not as bad as this one. In fact, this is the worst panenka I've ever seen. It's about to be unleashed upon the world by this guy, who then follows it up with just I don't think you could do anything worse over a 20-second span than this guy, and it starts with his decision to rock that hair out and then attempt this. Because if you're going to rock this type of hair, you got to back it up. It's like talking trash. You know what I mean? If you are going to rock the bright cleats when everybody else is wearing gray, if you're going to come out with the pink hair when everybody else is, normal hair, right? Maybe it's a movement and everybody on the teams has pink hair. That's obviously different. That's cool. But you're bringing that attention into yourself. You're talking the trash. You're letting the world know you're there. You got to back it up. You can't do this. That ball is moving so slowly that if you dove towards the side, you'd probably be able to throw your body back into the middle to stop it. This is the worst. It bounces before the goal line. That is the worst panenka I've ever seen. The keeper's waiting for it. He's got time to make himself a sandwich before that ball gets there. It's just the worst. I'll watch it again. I can't stop watching it. It's like looking at a ruined building or something. Like ruin porn, I think is what people call that. It's just unmitigated disaster. He pulls up early. The keeper's able to identify that he's pulling up early and just wait for the ball to get chipped down the middle, which he just basically rolls it to him. This is, not to mention all of the other things here. You can't take this penalty, right? You can't take this penalty when you're not even one of the first five. This dude was not chosen to take one. I wonder why, right? They chose 5 penalty takers in the order, and they put this guy at 6, which means the odds are the majority of the time this guy is not attempting a penalty by design in the way they've organized this. He steps up to take the 6th penalty and has landed himself as the 11th penalty taker for the next shootout with this effort. Even though there's only 10 penalty takers, he would still be 11th. They would sue the league to get the yellow card repealed, the tournament organizers to get that red card repealed in order to have 11 takers so that this guy could be further away from taking a penalty. That's that situation. But this isn't even the half of it. Because after he fails to score, he's walking normally, and I have to defer to a different video in order to show you what's happening. He's walking normally, and then all of a sudden, after that incredible panenka, excruciating knee pain. Now, obviously, I hope this guy is okay. I don't know if there's some sort of late onset torn ACL that you can suffer here. I've never heard of that in my medical studies, which granted are limited. But this guy does appear to be walking normally all the way into this point where he's decided to grab his knee. And then he gives us a really serious grimace of pain here after this panenka penalty. Now, of course, the pain is most likely mental and emotional, considering the fact that this missed penalty is most likely to cost him this match, his entire team this match. Now, fortunately for Colo Colo, they're playing Peñarol. And Peñarol might be the worst penalty-taking team ever assembled. Their 6th taker promptly smashes the post, and we continue. So this guy that could have and probably should have lost the penalty shootout for them with this panenka and then suffering a season-ending injury in the process didn't, because Colo Colo for the 3rd time has managed to stop a penalty without actually stopping it. They've taken 6 penalties, Peñarol. 3 of them didn't go in the goal. The goal's pretty big, hard to miss. Like I might be dumping on all of these penalties. Outside of the panenka, you would rather hit the target than not. And Peñarol's ability to not hit the target and somehow miss the goal 50% of the time up to this point in the shootout must be noted for its truly remarkable nature. So here's Colo Colo. We're down to the 7th taker. And you got to be thinking, if the 6 best penalty takers on this team have already gone, who is the 7th? And how are they so bad? Well, 7th. Did the same thing that guy from Peñarol did earlier. Somehow, inside of the foot, caressed it over the bar. It's so hard to accidentally do that. It's so hard to accidentally do that. The way they're striking the ball is weird. I don't get it. I don't understand what's happening. I don't know if there was some sort of mass delusion that was occurring at this match. But for a second time, Peñarol now has a penalty to win, to mercifully end the worst penalty shootout you've ever seen. At which point this guy strides up and kicks a field goal. That means 4 out of 7 penalty attempts from Peñarol did not even hit the target. I fail to believe that these are actual professional footballers. I know they are, and that this is some sort of 1 in a million disaster class here, but at least this guy missed it in the traditional Harry Kane fashion. This is you just lean back too far, you get your foot under it, and you just zoink it. The ever-rising penalty miss, right? He just skied it. He's trying to put this in the roof of the net, right? He just absolutely rips it over the bar. That, and I'm pretty sure that the Colo Colo goalkeeper here is involved in some sort of magic practice that would make Hogwarts blush. To have 4 of the 7 takers you're facing that are professional footballers miss the goal entirely. I mean, you need to be hired by the CIA or something in order to be able to discombobulate enemies of the state or whatever the hell you... Like, what is this? He's got, instead of a water bottle next to the goal, he's got voodoo dolls. And he's just making them lean back and kick the ball wrong. Or something. That's what he's just doing that over on the side. We go to the 8th penalty taker, and it's Colo Colo. And it's amazing how astounding a normal penalty in a penalty shootout looks after all the penalties we've seen. This is remarkably normal. He tries to send the keeper the wrong way. It works. He rolls it into the bottom corner of the net. My goodness. A professional footballer taking a penalty. Hallelujah. Here comes Peñarol. Surely going to score eventually. Yes, they actually do. We get 2 from the 8th penalty takers, we get 2 consecutive normal penalties. But of course, if you're Colo Colo, you're thinking, my goodness, we finally gave ourselves a chance to win and Peñarol actually scored a goal. When is this ever going to end? We go to the 9th penalty taker. That 9th penalty taker, another normal penalty. Opens up his body, puts that right in the side netting. That's a nice penalty for Colo Colo. These guys probably should have been the first penalty takers. And that brings us to Peñarol again, at which point we have maybe not the worst penalty, but certainly the worst miss. I mean, the technique on this, I am not a coach. I'm just a guy who played and watches. The technique on this is diabolical, right? Like, he's leaning so far back, there's no chance for this ball to ever go near the goal. It's like he's trying to take a goal kick or something, and he just kicks it straight over the goal. I mean, that's 5-10 yards over the top of the crossbar by the time it gets there. It's an unbelievable miss. And in 9 penalties, Colo Colo scores 4 times and wins. Because in 9 penalties, Peñarol hit the target 4 times. They scored 3 of them. The Colo Colo goalkeeper made 1 save in the entire penalty shootout. And they won. Because they missed the goal 5 out of 9 times. I mean, what do you do in training at that point? You just have everybody take penalties with no goalkeeper in there and be like, can you hit this net? Please tell me you can.